Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? Good morning. I know everybody is still settling in, but I wanted to make sure to welcome everyone to our to Access Health Connecticut Small Business Convening, our annual convening where not only do we honor small business and the work that you do, but we really continue our collaboration in making sure that you have all of the tools, the resources that you need to lift up your entrepreneurship in the state of Connecticut. It's often said that small business is the heartbeat of Connecticut. It is truer today more than ever. And despite the challenges that are coming to us, whether they be from abroad or whether they be local, whether it be supply, whether it be demand, despite all of those challenges, for you to know and for us to know that we are in partnership in your success is really the most important element of moving forward in the state. And I want to thank you all for investing your time and being here today. So please give yourselves a round of applause this early morning. So as I said, today is about sharing practical ideas, meaningful connections, and really honest conversations about how we help businesses adapt, grow, and thrive in a changing environment. And without further ado, because I know that we are running on a very productive schedule, it is really, really my pleasure to introduce Connecticut State Comptroller Sean Scanlon. Comptroller Scanlon, round of applause. It's just so great that you're here and you understand not only the intersection of so much of what is happening in the state, but what's happening in the everyday experience of small business. Now, before serving as comptroller, Sean chaired the legislature's Insurance and Real Estate Committee, where he worked extensively on issues ranging from consumer protection and mental health parity to prescription drug affordability and expanding access to quality coverage. And as Connecticut's comptroller, he continues to play a major role in shaping conversations around fiscal responsibility, workforce stability, and long-term economic resilience. What I appreciate about Sean's leadership is that he consistently approaches these issues with both pragmatism and urgency, understanding that behind every policy conversation are real employers, workers, and families trying to make things work. Please join me in welcoming Connecticut State Comptroller Sean Scanlon.
Good morning, everybody. There's nothing like being the first speaker because I can say whatever I want and I'm still on time here, so that's good. Listen, it's great to be here this morning and great to be here at this event again. I think it's so incredibly important that Access Health does this every year, and I try to get here every year to give a few brief remarks. I just want to tell you a quick story. So when I, as Stephen just said, was a state representative before I had this job, my hometown of Guilford is not too far from here. And when I was very young, in my 20s, I ran for that seat. Nobody thought I had any chance to win whatsoever. And the only way that I won is because I went out and I knocked on 5,000 doors. And at the end of every night when I got home from knocking on those doors, I would write what people said to me in a little notebook that I still have. And when I won the election, because I knocked on those doors, I showed up in Hartford back in 2015 and literally in the only suit that I owned, went to the Speaker of the House's office and said, "Mr. Speaker, I have this notebook. Where do I get started to solve all the problems of Connecticut?" And this guy literally patted me on the head and said, "Kid, we're in a fiscal crisis. We're not doing any of the things in your notebook." And I sort of got a little nervous and I said, "What do you mean? I just promised all my constituents I was going to solve every problem in Connecticut." And he was right, though. We were in a fiscal crisis, and a lot of you probably remember that. 10 years ago, we had huge budget deficits, massive tax increases, huge spending cuts to the kind of programs that I wanted to support, lots of people moving out of the state, lots of businesses leaving the state. It was a really, really bad time. But in 2017, we did something that I think is really, really special and something that has paved the way for where we're at today, which is that we put aside politics, we rolled up our sleeves, and we passed a bipartisan budget in 2017 for the first time in about 40 years. And as a result, thank you to the one person for clapping for that. That's cool. But as a result of that bipartisan budget and the way we changed how we budget in that budget, fast forward to today, we have had 7 consecutive years of ending our fiscal years with a surplus. On Monday, June 1st, is spoiler alert for any of you nerds out there that actually would watch this, but I will say that on July 1st, when our fiscal year ends, we will have the 8th consecutive year of ending our budget year with a surplus. We've amassed a $4 billion rainy day fund for the first time in the history of our state. It's at the highest it can actually go per our state constitution. And we've paid off $10 billion of our massive unfunded pension liability just in the last 6 years. So I say all that to say that by a lot of different stretches of the imagination and from a lot of different statistical points, we've gotten out of that fiscal crisis that was starting when I first got involved. But whenever I give this speech, somebody undoubtedly says, hey, dude, that's great that the state has gotten its fiscal house in order, but my house is struggling because of the cost of doing business in the state, or my house is struggling because of the cost of buying health insurance or paying my Eversource bill or paying for childcare, something that my wife and I pay almost as much for our mortgage as for childcare, which is crazy. So what I say to this audience is like this is, look, our fiscal progress has gotten to us to a place that finally is enabling us to try to attack some of those cost drivers. And what we're doing to do that is to work directly with small businesses, with large businesses, with people to identify what the things that we can do to lower those costs. We were the 12th fastest growing economy in the United States of America last year, right? The last time we were that high was when I was in high school. So we are doing really good things. We've come a long way. But what I say to people every day is that we don't have a mission accomplished banner behind us. We don't need a pat on the back just yet. And my hope as the comptroller and as a dad and as a person who lives here and loves this state is that if the last 10 years has been about getting us out of a fiscal crisis, the next 10 years has to be about lowering costs and growing the economy. And I think if we can do those things and continue our fiscal progress, we will be in a much better place. And at the end of the day, that is what all of us want to see for the state, and that is what all of us need to work together to do. Last thing I'd say, just to make a quick plug, is that one of the ways we're trying to do that in my office is to address how we can take the scale of what I already do as the comptroller, which I probably should have said this 5 minutes ago, is the chief financial officer of the state, but to take what we're already doing and make that benefit everybody else, right? To take that success and make it benefit. So Lily from my office is here. If you haven't already seen her, she's at a table with a great view of the water. I told her she lucked out with the table placement today. But she is here talking about 2 different programs that I hope you'll take some information from. One of them is called My CT Savings. It is the first public retirement plan of the state of Connecticut. It's run by our office. And the goal of this is really simple. It is to offer a free retirement plan that's free to businesses so that you don't have to pay to offer a retirement plan to your employees. My mom ran a small business when I was growing up. She had a handful of employees. She could never afford to offer them a retirement plan, even though she would have loved to, because it was too expensive to pay the fees associated with that plan. So what My CD Savings does is take the fees out of the equation, allows you to offer something to your employees, but it doesn't cost you anything. When I took this job, it was in its infancy. There was about 700 companies that were enrolled in it. Today, we have over 8,000. So it's grown exponentially in the last couple of years. And I hope if you don't know about it already, you'll go out there and take a flyer, take Lily's card, and check out if it's worth it for you. Another thing that I would mention is ArrayRx. It's the state's first prescription drug discount card. I run the largest healthcare plan in Connecticut for over 250,000 people. And what we decided to do a couple of years ago is work with both red states and blue states to try to lower prescription drug costs. Washington, I don't think I have to tell anybody in this room, is pretty broken, and they don't really do much to solve our problems anymore. They just fight with each other and tweet at each other. What we do in the states, though, is actually try to solve problems. And what we've done by working with these other states is to actually give people an option to lower their drug costs. So this card, which is completely free to you or anybody in the state, can be used at 98% of the pharmacies in our state. And so far, the average savings is about $250 per person. So for people who are living on a fixed income, especially seniors, younger people that can't afford health insurance, this card is a tool in their toolkit. Last thing I'd say is this. Access Health is doing incredible work each and every day to help people in this state and increasingly businesses in this state. In the last state budget, the governor put a tax credit in there for ICHRA plans. It's a plan that is sold by Access Health. It's a big tax credit that you can get for offering your employees insurance through this. And I'm really proud of James and his entire team because, at the risk of getting political, back to Washington, Washington has made some changes recently. And one of the changes that they made starting on January 1st of this year was that the subsidies that had helped hundreds of thousands of people in our state afford health insurance on that exchange were cut off, right? And there was a big cliff that people were facing. And I am incredibly proud that our state stepped up and helped backfill some of those subsidies. And as a result of that, for the third consecutive year in a row, Access Health actually added people at a time when almost every other state in the nation saw less people on their exchange have coverage. We were the third top state in the nation when it came to actually adding more people. And so a really big round of applause to James and his team at Access Health for this. I have probably gone on longer than they wanted me to, and I apologize for that. But I just want to say I thank you for being here today, and I hope that we can continue working together with small businesses, large businesses, and the state to grow this state and go in a better direction for our kids and our grandkids, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing that we can do. We're doing important work, but we need your help to do it, and I hope we can do it together. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Sean. And what a difference it makes to have a state's comptroller that is a resident, that's a parent, and that's going through a lot of the things that we go through every single day, and really you approach your work understanding the complexities that families are experiencing. But with that, I can still hear that you have that little notebook in your pocket right next to your heart. And congratulations on all the work that you've done for us here in the state, Sean. Thank you. And as a member of the board of Access Health Connecticut, I would be remiss to not acknowledge the work that Access Health Connecticut, under the leadership of James Michel, has been doing here in the state. I just want to acknowledge the work that Access Health Connecticut does in a challenging environment year after year, constantly negotiating and renegotiating, not only because of federal pressures, but because of state prerogatives, and bringing more and more, the most resources that we can on your behalf and on behalf of families in the state. So please, a big round of applause for Access Health Connecticut. So we're now going to transition into our first breakout panel sessions. One of the themes you're going to hear throughout today is that small businesses are being asked to adopt faster than ever before, whether that's in how they market, communicate, hire, innovate, or compete. Our first two sessions focus on two areas that are rapidly reshaping the small business landscape: marketing and emerging technologies. If you're staying here in the main ballroom, you'll be joining the panel Marketing That Matters: Strategies, Storytelling, and Social. If you're heading to the Royal Ballroom, you'll join Smart Growth: Leveraging AI and Tech to Power Small Business Success. Please make your way to the appropriate session, and we'll begin shortly. It's an honor to be here with you today. Thank you.